who say, listen, if you couldn't make that deal happen, how are you going to run the federal government?
Sure. Well, I don't think owning and operating a basketball team with 13 players, it's a relatively small business, is a proxy or a question. I think your question is about leadership and responsibility. I take full responsibility for the sale of Supersonics and ultimately them moving to Oklahoma. It's something I regret. It's a decision I wish I could have over. I've apologized to the city of Seattle about that. But the issue of running the United States of America today is about character, about leadership, having a vision for the future, about bringing the country together. And I think the situation in Seattle is unfortunate, but certainly not an indication of how I would lead the country.
Well, you just talked about making deals, that you would bring Democrats and Republicans together.
Sure.
This obviously was a deal. And, you know, some people said, why couldn't you make it happen? They lost their NBA team.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you the Seattle feedback.
Sure. Well, I don't want to debate what exactly happened. I take full responsibility for what took place in Seattle. I'm sorry it happened. I've learned from my mistake. I also think with great power and responsibility, you need restraint. And unfortunately, at the time, I was a lot younger. I've learned from that mistake. And I can guarantee you one thing. If I decide to run for president, the qualifications of character, morality, leadership, and the ability to bring the country together, to restore our standing in the world, to bring back the promise of the country will be done.
Was one of those lessons putting the state and the people of that state before yourself? Because one of the criticisms, as Brett said, was that it was a selfish move, that you made a lot of money off the sale and that you put Howard Schultz before the people of the state.
The only thing I would try and qualify is we did not make a lot of money on the Sonics. We lost money.
We read it was $52 million. Is that not correct?
No, that's not accurate. But that's not the issue. I take responsibility for the Seattle Supersonics situation. I feel bad about it. I think Seattle will get a team, an NBA team, in the future. But I also think that the preparation I've had over the last 40 years as a public CEO, of employing almost 3 million people during that period, and what my record demonstrates of sharing success, of recognizing business. Every business decision is not an economic one. Business success is based when it's shared. All of that is my body of work. The Seattle situation is unfortunate, but it's not an indication of how I would lead the country.
Okay, thank you. Coming up, a possible future military mom and her question for Howard Schultz next. Kansas City, here we come. We're going to at a pretty good clip. So, you know, what would you do that isn't already being done, I guess, is part of that question. And then the other part is, in terms of policy, the one thing that I heard just then is that you would raise taxes on the wealthy and raise taxes on corporations. So is there anything else that we should know that you would do to make things better for those who think that things are doing well?
Well, I think you're asking a few questions, but I'll get to the tax on the wealthy, because I think that probably will be interesting for your viewers.
All viewers.
All viewers. So President Trump gave a 21% tax rate to corporations. I would never have done that. I would have looked at 25 or 26%, and I would have incented corporations to do the right thing by providing college education, health care, job training, job skills, but I would never have given it for free. In addition to that, I think wealthy Americans, millionaires, billionaires, whatever you want to call them, need to be paying more taxes and getting less.
What would be the cutoff for that? You know, what salary would you start?
I think over the last 30 years, the number that has worked for the country has been about 39, 40%.
No, but I mean, at what, you know, you said millionaires, billionaires, so starting with millionaires? Or, because some people call wealthy people who make $100,000.
I don't think it's 100,000, but suffice it to say that for us to be able to dig our way out of the problem we have, not only with the national debt and the deficit and the $1 trillion a year that this president is adding, we must look at entitlements, and we must recognize that we must mean test this to a point where wealthy Americans need to be paying more and get less. And if you poll them, they will say, I'm willing to pay more taxes as long as I have some confidence that the government is going to spend my money well. So that is what we need to do, restore confidence in people's understanding that the government is going to work for them.
Thank you. Coming up, lightning round when we return live from Kansas City.
Hi, this is former Yankee Steve Sachs, and you can support cancer research and experience Yankee Stadium like never before on Saturday, May 11th. Sign up today for the Runyon
Operation in North Korea. China now has no incentive to help us. We need to be really tough on China in terms of human rights, the monetary policy of China, but that requires statesmanship, diplomacy, and a real understanding of the values and what China is trying to do. China is not an enemy of America. Russia is an enemy of America. China is a fierce competitor. What is now necessary is we need to go back to the table with a level of understanding of what is in the best interest of both countries and the rest of the world. And if I was president, we'd be back into TPP and we would solve this problem. And I think it's really important because China is trying to do something, and they're on their way to do it, and that is to displace America as the #1 economic power. We can't allow that to happen. Again, lack of leadership, lack of thoughtfulness, and not taking the advice of his advisors.
All right, we're going to move on. Let's get a lightning round of questions here. Okay. Obviously, quick questions, quick answers, ideally 15 seconds, but we'll see if we can do that. First up, you've said you believe that when you choose a Supreme Court justice, you should get someone with 2/3 support.
Yes.
Can you name one judge in this current political environment who would get 2/3 support?
John Roberts.
But now? You think John Roberts would get 2/3?
I think he would.
So John Roberts is your model for Supreme Court justices going forward?
Yes, he is. And he was a conservative pick. But I think two things, and I know you want to go quick, but the Supreme Court and the Fed.
Mayor Pete of South Bend, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, said that he supports reparations for the descendants of slaves. Other candidates have also said that they do think there should be reparations. Do you?
I would rather look forward. There are a number of groups, not only African Americans. Certainly, this country has not overcome the stain of slavery. I recognize that. I'd rather look forward. What I said publicly a week ago is I think one idea is to make a significant investment in education that could begin with historical black colleges. But I would look forward. That doesn't mean on any level that I don't have the sensitivity and understanding of what has taken place in this country. And we certainly still have racial injustice and racism in America that we need to deal with.
But no to the question of reparations?
Yes.
Okay.
Which one country represents the single biggest threat to the U.S.?
There's no doubt in my mind that it is Russia. Russia is an enemy of America. Putin is a cold-blooded killer. This president has turned a blind eye to Russia, and every single day, what is going on is Russia is doing everything possible to disrupt our democracy, our elections, and we're not seeing it because it's cyber warfare. And in many ways, this is not to sound hyperbolic, in many ways, what Russia is doing is an act of war. Russia is an enemy of America. Make no mistake about that.
But you don't think China is?
China is a fierce competitor and not an enemy.
All right. Will you release your tax returns? Big topic this week. And if so, when?
If I announce that I'm running for president, within 30 days or so, you'll have my tax returns. It is beyond my comprehension why this president would not release his tax returns and demonstrate the transparency and the character and morality that the American people deserve.
All right. When do you make your decision? When do you make your decision whether you're running or not? You're touring the country. You're here in Kansas City.
Well, it's not going to happen right now.
You've got time. Okay. You've got time.
My wife Sherry and I and our kids will make it by early summer.
Do you want to run in your heart? Like if the circumstance? Okay.
I want to do everything I possibly can to restore the promise of America. Can I know it's a
You're going to get a closing statement real quick. Okay. Show of hands in this room. How many of you, after what you've heard tonight, would like to see Mr. Schultz run for president as an independent? Show of hands.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So you see the room. Yeah. And with that, you have a closing statement. Okay. You have the floor.
Okay, this is not the closing statement I was going to make, but I think it's apropos. So it's March Madness. Everyone knows Monday night is a big game. Okay, so this week, Tom Izzo is from Michigan State, someone I went to school with. He was being interviewed, and he was asked, what kind of kids do you recruit for Michigan State? And he said there's 3 kinds of kids. Kids who like it, kids who love it, and kids who live it. I recruit kids who live it. Ladies and gentlemen, what we need to do as Americans is we need to start living our values. We need to start recognizing that we are in this together. Every problem that we have can be solved if we come together as a nation. We are all Americans. We're here tonight, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Remember I said no hate zone? This can be done. We can solve our problems and come together. Do you agree with me?
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. We appreciate your time. Thank you to our audience here in Kansas City. You've been fantastic. Great questions. We couldn't get to them all, but thank you very much. Our next town hall happens April 15th with Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. I'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time with a special report from Washington.
Thank you to everybody here tonight. Thank you, the audience, for coming out. Thank you, Howard Schultz, for sitting down with us. We truly appreciate it. And to our great crew also, who did an amazing job putting all this together. Stick around. In a couple minutes, we'll be right back with the story tonight. Good night, everybody, from Kansas City.
Good night.
Over 100 extra channels are now on the app and online. That means much more from your SiriusXM favorites.
Everyone forgets to take their vitamins, but no one forgets their coffee. The best part? VitaCup tastes better than your average cup. With over 10 million cups sold and thousands of 5-star reviews, it's time to try VitaCup today. You can buy VitaCup at VitaCup.com, Amazon, Walmart, Sprouts, and select stores. VitaCup.com. That's VitaCup.com.
Did you know you can sell your life insurance policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment? Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit CoventryDirect.com to learn more.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement.
But we quickly realized we needed a way to supplement our income.
Our friends sold their policy to help pay their medical bills. And that got me thinking, maybe selling our policy could help with our retirement.
So I did some research and called Coventry Direct.
We learned we could sell all of our policy or keep part of it with no future payments. Who knew? We sold our policy. Now we can relax and enjoy our retirement as we had planned.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may qualify to sell your policy. Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit CoventryDirect.com. That's CoventryDirect.com. 1-800-481-6300. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance. Coventry Direct is a marketing company and will refer qualified policies to a licensed entity.
Take a look around your home's exterior. Those grimy green and black algae, mold and mildew stains on walls, walks, decks, awnings and outdoor furniture are winter's miserable leftovers. They look terrible. It's time to clean them up. The easiest way? Use the original and still the best you can buy. 30 seconds outdoor.
I wanted to know the answer to that question. You know, how much do you want this? And he said, I do really want to run. He said that he would run regardless of Joe Biden's situation. Do you believe that?
Yes. Look, I think the news tonight, the biggest takeaway is, I think, probably that line. I think him saying, no, it's not about who the Democrats nominate, whether it's Joe Biden or anybody else. I'm going to run if I'm going to run, if I think it's the right choice. Now, he's got himself in a trap, which is, I won't be a spoiler, and if I'm at 1% of this percent of 2%, it's a little too conditional. He has to start walking away from it because, like Cortez burned his ships when he got to the New World, when you run for president, you got to get in and you got to know that there's no turning back.
All right, but you know, I want to get with you the electoral question, right? I mean, you know, just logistically,
Texas.
Because President Trump is, you know, wrapping up all of these states and locking them down for his delegates and his people who are running those states. How does an independent even navigate this system?
So, look, his idea is he can do really well in the suburbs. And look, the guy who gave us the pumpkin spice latte, definitely has to know how to connect with suburban voters.
Point. Right.
So he thinks he can do that. And he thinks that in places like suburban Dallas or suburban Houston, that he can connect with a lot of voters who are looking for something different, and that he could put a state like that in play, that he could get more than a third of the vote there, that he could win those electoral votes. It's far-fetched, but it starts to look very different if he gets serious and starts spending money and starts going on the campaign trail. Look, Ross Perot wasn't exactly the most endearing and warm creature, but prior to his self-inflicted wounds in 1992, he almost made a go of it.
So after tonight, did it change your opinion as a political analyst at all in terms of how potentially viable he might be, or as an independent candidate?
The guy who you drew out and who wanted to play to the crowd tonight, that guy looks like a guy who could be a contender.
Interesting. Very interesting. Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you
Great
tonight.
job.
Thank you. So let's go back to New York as we talk about the 2020 field becoming even more crowded. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, everybody has to learn how to say Pete Buttigieg, right, is expected to enter soon, and he is already starting to apologize for something, and that is the fact that he in the past used the phrase, all lives matter.
Unfortunately, it was not obvious to everybody that Black lives were being valued the same. And so that is the contribution of Black Lives Matter, and it's a reason why, since learning about how that phrase was being used to push back on that activism, I've stopped using it in that context.
All right, so joining me now, Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor, and Jammu Green, former candidate for chair of the DNC. Both are Fox News contributors. Jammu, you have been around the party and working on bringing out the vote for your entire career. When you look at Pete Buttigieg, what do you make of his candidacy, and what do you make of his comment about all lives matter?
Well, first of all, congrats on stumping the possible candidate with that question. That was fantastic, Martha. Look, I ran against Mayor Pete. We ran against each other for the Democratic National Committee chair position, and we traveled to lots of different forums together. My question to Mayor Pete, to a lot of these, almost running folks, where's the substance? We've seen from Kamala Harris a plan to give teachers a pay raise that they so desperately need. We've seen policy positions from Elizabeth Warren that go into just so much detail, whether it's breaking up Facebook and other tech giants or universal child care. There's a real issue I have with the attention that Howard Schultz and some of these other B brothers who are running on the Democratic side, the attention they get for the personality versus the substance. Where's the beef?
Did you say the B? What did you call them?
The B brothers. Biden, Beto, Mayor Pete.
Biden, Buttigieg. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. They are stealing a lot of the attention out there. Charlie, what do you think?
Well, and of course, also, a good 50 to 60% of Democratic voters are behind Biden, two of the B brothers, Biden and Bernie Sanders, and of course, which is kind of strange when you consider. Yeah, when you consider the fact that you're talking about two of the oldest people in the Democratic race. They've been around Washington for decades. They haven't fixed anything. In addition to that, you've got a party that is built on identity politics, and for two old white guys to be sort of collecting at the moment is trouble. But I tell you, Donald Trump looks at this field and he feels very confident because, he sees these Democrats, they're all falling over one another and trying to support things like open borders or reparations now, or, all of the live birth abortion, all of these crazy things that are really fringe of the fringe. And if he's going to go into battle for 2020, that's what he wants to be going up against. So he's feeling very confident right now.
Well, interesting to note that Howard Schultz said tonight he was not in favor of third trimester abortion or reparations. So a lot of alternatives out there for people to think over. Yeah.
On issues, to me, that was the most interesting thing out of that all of it was interesting, but to me that was the most important thing because, as Jammu pointed out, it was about issues, and it was about issues that are important to most people.
But you know what? When he said what will make news...
Real quick, Jammu, thank you.
He said what would make news is his support for universal catastrophic insurance, and I don't think that's going to make news. The politics of it is going to make news, the personality, kind of the squabbling, the wedge issues, and that's a shame because that does benefit Donald Trump. And so Democrats need to come together on the substance, I think, and move away from the personality so much.
All right, Jamu and Charlie, thank you very much. Great to see you both tonight. Thanks for being here. So coming up next, a story exclusive with the top Republican on the House Ways and Means Committee who has blasted Democrats who want President Trump to turn over his tax returns. Congressman Kevin Brady calls this a misguided rush to impeachment. He's up next.
I wish they could. Hi, Jeff Harold, owner of Club Glove, the #1 luggage in professional golf. Whether you travel with one piece of luggage or 5 pieces, Club Glove's TRS Ballistic will allow you to transport all of your gear with only one hand. Yes, one hand. The TRS stands for Train Reaction System. I'll be the first to tell you that this patented American-made luggage is not inexpensive. However, over time, it will actually save you money by allowing you to manage all of your personal belongings on your own for decades of travel. No more handing out cash for everyone that helps you reposition your luggage, and never again will you ever need an airport card. Think about that. Go to trsballistic.com and use the code USA to get 20% off this incredible American-made luggage. Again, that's trsballistic.com and the code USA to experience the new standard in American-made luggage.
Here's something you probably don't know about erectile dysfunction. 52% of guys over 40 experience ED. And here's something you probably do know about erectile dysfunction. 0% of guys like talking about it. Fortunately, Roman is here to help. With Roman, you can go online and visit a one-stop shop where U.S. licensed physicians can diagnose ED. We'll then ship medication right from our pharmacy to your door. With Roman, you don't have to spend time in waiting rooms, deal with awkward face-to-face conversations, or make uncomfortable trips to the pharmacy. Just visit GetRoman.com, chat with a doctor, and get genuine medication delivered in discreet, unmarked packaging. And now that brand name ED meds have gone generic, it's more affordable than ever to get treatment. Start your free online visit at GetRoman.com/news. That's GetRoman.com/news. Additional terms, conditions, and eligibility requirements apply. Visit GetRoman.com for more details.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and
software that is super easy for business owners and powerful enough for accountants. With Patriot's accounting software, business owners can easily invoice customers, receive payments, pay bills, and track the money in and out of their company without needing a college degree in accounting. And with Patriot Software's patent-pending cash-to-accrual toggle switch, the business's accountant can log in, view the books, and make complex entries to ensure the business has accurate financial statements. Easy but powerful. Everybody wins. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code XM and get 2 months of accounting software free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
with PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll. Keep your time and money.
The biggest names in cable news are right here on Fox News Channel, Sirius XM Channel 114, Fox News Channel.
House Democrats are demanding 6 years of President Trump's tax returns. The chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee sending a formal request to the IRS in search of the documentation. The president says he is under audit and is, quote, not inclined to allow such access. But Democrats claim it's the law.
This is a specific request to the commissioner of the IRS, who is duty-bound to follow the laws of the United States.
The law exists. The law is very clear. The secretary shall furnish, shall, not may, should, could, shall.
By law, we have a right to ask that the president tax return for 6 years be made available.
So there you have it. Here now, Congressman Kevin Brady of Texas, the top Republican on that same House Ways and Means Committee. Good to see you this evening, Congressman Brady. Thank you very much for being here tonight. You hear the argument from the Democrats. They believe that it is their right to request this, that it is their right to request it from the IRS, and that Secretary Mnuchin has a responsibility to comply with that. What do you say?
They are wrong and dead wrong. This is unprecedented. Congress has never sought the personal tax information of an individual for purely political reasons, and that's what this is. It ought to worry every American because by law, you have a fundamental right to privacy, the personal information in your taxpayer returns. Democrats are actually violating that law in order to target the president for purely political reasons. Here's the worry. If you weaponize the tax code for purely political purposes, you set a dangerous precedent where future Congresses can target any American they see as a political enemy. That's the danger in this request, and that's why my point is this is an abuse of the committee's legal authority. They're violating the very law of privacy with this request. It's not a legitimate request.
All right, I want to play a soundbite from your colleague on Capitol Hill, Senator John Kennedy. Here's what he said.
I think he has, at least if you take the president at his word, a legitimate reason for not turning them over. He says he's in the middle of an audit. Yeah. And his CPAs say don't turn it over. I think all things being equal, I would like to see president's taxes. You know, I wouldn't be adverse to turning over my taxes. I don't have anything to hide.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think Senator Kennedy raises one key point here is that I think Democrats want one standard for the president. They want to rummage around in his tax returns for political purposes, but they're certainly not volunteering their own tax returns. And the truth of the matter here is the bigger picture is that again, privacy matters in America. Civil liberties still matter. If Democrats can open this Pandora's box and for purely political reasons, here's what we're going to see, a return of the political enemies list.
I understand
this
what
law
you're
was
saying.
put in place to protect Americans.
In just a moment, I'm going to talk to Sean Spicer and Juan Williams, but I have one more question for you because I know Juan is going to bring this up, and he's saying that he wants to see the president's tax returns to dispel any of the discussion about payments from foreign countries that might have had something to do with the Moscow Tower or anything that might be nefarious along those lines, and that's why he thinks the president should have to turn these over. What would you say to that?
Yeah, more just fishing on the president, attempting to discredit him. Truth of the matter is the president's disclosure returns, which he filed, shows us he has more than 600 business interests. It tells us what loans he has, at what interest rate, and for what amount. There is the information that Juan or anyone else, frankly, can work through if they choose. At the bottom line of this really is just part of the rush to impeachment the Democrats are just hell-bent on.
Congressman Kevin Brady, thank you very much, sir. House Ways and Means Committee, good to have you with us here tonight. Thank you. So as I mentioned, joining me now, Sean Spicer, senior advisor and spokesman for America First Action and author of The Briefing, and Juan Williams, co-host of The Five and a Fox News political analyst. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to have both of you with us tonight. Sean, you know, it's understandable what Kevin Brady was saying about the politicalization of all of this. However, the question is still out there that has been out there since 2017, and which Senator Kennedy also said that he didn't have anything to hide. Why doesn't the president want to disclose these documents that other candidates in the past have turned over? Why not?
Because he doesn't want to. I mean, I think, look, every candidate for federal office, including the president, filed a personal financial disclosure form that lists all of their assets and their debts in an extensive way. You have to check off how much, how many bank accounts you have, how many homes, how many accounts, what loans you have, et cetera, who you owe money to and at what rate. So all that's filed. So let's be clear that there's plenty of that out there. I think the president understands, and the Democrats have proven, and Kevin Brady was absolutely right, that this is a political fishing expedition. When they couldn't couldn't get him on collusion. Now they want to go after him on taxes. But they're not going after him because of some particular reason. They want to go in a fishing expedition and find something that they can hang over his head. So they'll go through every deduction and everything and say, we got him here, or this is how it could be misinterpreted that he took this deduction or filed this. And the president knows that this is going to be used purely for political purposes. And that's why I don't think, regardless of whether he's under audit or not, that he should do what he wants to do. And he understands that this is not being done for altruistic purposes.
Do you believe him, Sean, when he says that he's under audit, that he's still under audit? Do you believe him?
Well, I know it because every president and vice president since 1970 has been audited by the IRS. That's not in dispute. The question is, does he want to go a step further or not? I think it's up to him, and I think he understands, as does everybody, Martha, that he has filed all the appropriate forms, but this is not being used for legitimate purposes. It's political, and it's being weaponized to be used against him because they couldn't get him on the collusion.
So, Juan, what do you say to that suggestion from both Sean and also from Congressman Brady that this is just a fishing expedition, that it's clear that, Democrats did not get what they wanted out of the Mueller report, at least as far as what they know now. And so then they move on to the next thing. Oh, yeah, we want to keep digging into the personal finances of President Trump. And yes, we'd like to see 6 years of tax returns. What do you say to that?
This is not about President Trump. This is a precedent that, as Sean rightly said, I think we can go all the way back to Jimmy Carter. Every president has given the American people his tax returns. And so it's not a fishing expedition, Martha. It's the American people taking a look at what kind of potential conflicts of interest exist for their top leader, the man in the White House, the commander-in-chief. And in the case of President Trump, the so-called fishing expedition comes down to things like the existing suit about whether or not, under the emoluments clause of the Constitution, in fact, he is benefiting from foreign assets and interest in terms of his hotels and properties. That's no fishing expedition. Given what he's done, given his past as a businessman, the American people have every right to say, what is this about, Mr. President? He could relieve all of that pressure, and I don't think it's political. I just think it's a clear standard.
Can I make a quick point?
I think
I'm not a CPA, but I will tell you, I would assume all of that stuff that Juan just talked would be corporate tax returns, not personal tax returns. So even the stuff that the Democrats are looking for probably wouldn't even come through on a personal tax return. Now, again, don't rely on me for tax filing purposes, but I don't think that's what they're searching for would even be in what they're asking. This is a fishing expedition.
Thank you, gentlemen. I got to leave it there. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll pick it up another time. Coming up next, good to see you both tonight. Coming up next, thank you. Did a foundation that works to free American hostages get bullied into rescinding a Freedom Award that they had every intention of giving to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo?
So you can sell your life insurance policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment? Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit CoventryDirect.com to learn more.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement.
But we quickly realized we needed a way to supplement our income.
Our friends sold their policy to help pay their medical bills. And that got me thinking, maybe selling our policy could help with our retirement.
So I did some research and called Coventry Direct.
We learned we could sell all of our policy or keep part of it with no future payments. Who knew? We sold our policy. Now we can relax and enjoy our retirement as we had planned.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may qualify to sell your policy. Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit CoventryDirect.com. That's CoventryDirect.com. 1-800-481-6300. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance. Coventry Direct is a marketing company and will refer qualified policies to a licensed entity.
Take a look around your home's exterior. Those grimy green and black algae, mold, and mildew stains on walls, walks, decks, awnings, and outdoor furniture are winter's miserable leftovers. They look terrible. It's time to clean them up. The easiest way? Use the original and still the best you can buy. 30 Seconds Outdoor Cleaner. Our family invented 30 Seconds over 40 years ago, And since then, homeowners nationwide, north, south, east, and west, have used it for long-lasting results and to make their homes look their absolute best. Yours can too. Choose either our hose-ready sprayer or the concentrate that you mix 50-50 in your favorite sprayer. Spray on, let stand, lightly brush heavily soiled surfaces, then just hose away algae, dirt, and grime. With 30 seconds, it's clean when you want it clean. Don't be fooled by imposters. There's only one 30 seconds outdoor cleaner. Find it now at your favorite home improvement store or garden center.
If you love traveling, you should love the things you take with you. Most people hate their luggage, though. It breaks down, it's overpriced, and most of the time, luggage you'll love for life. We talked with hundreds of travelers and designed luggage for the way people actually travel, with thoughtful features that make your trip a little easier. Our carry-on, for example, has a built-in battery that charges phones and USB devices. And all our bags are unbreakable, good-looking, and guaranteed for life. It's everything you need and nothing you don't. We even offer a 100-day trial so you can try before you commit. awaytravel.com for a lifetime of luggage happiness.
Start traveling with yours risk-free at awaytravel.com and get $20 off with promo code NEWS. That's $20 off when you use promo code NEWS at awaytravel.com. awaytravel.com for a lifetime of luggage happiness.
Know that we are treating every hostage situation with the urgency that it demands, that it deserves. Know that we're treating your family in the way we would want ours treated, because as Americans, we are indeed all family.